Have you ever felt buried in busy work, second guessing what to hand off, or wondering why growth still feels so darn heavy? Then this podcast is for you. Welcome to Delegate to Elevate. Get done, where real conversations help you lead smarter, delegate better, and take more off your plate. Here's your host, me, Bonnie Schutz. Hello, welcome back to the Delegate to Elevate, Get Done podcast, where we talk delegation, leadership, and how to get the right done without doing it all yourself. Today, I'd like to welcome my guest, Lisa Glenn Nobles. Lisa is the CEO and principal of LGN Collab, where she helps purpose-driven organizations create people-centered systems, stronger operations, and more sustainable ways to grow. She's known for blending strategy, collaboration, and education to help leaders bring structure to big visions. Lisa is based in Fredericksburg, Virginia, where she enjoys life with her husband and fur babies, as well as gardening, cooking, and time on the water. Ooh, love it. Hello, Lisa.
Hey there. Thank you for having me, Bonnie.
Oh my gosh, thanks for being here. Let's get some Let's help some people get some done, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
Ideally, we're delegating. We're not getting as much done. We're getting it done like collectively.
absolutely. So at this moment in our businesses, we're both delegating things to get
Yeah.
done behind the scenes while we're taking this hour away to record this podcast episode. I love it. So tell us a little bit more about your company, its structure, who supports you, and all the things.
Absolutely. So I am an accidental entrepreneur. I
Been
definitely did
there.
not see my path coming this way. And in fact, I told people for years, I don't want to be in charge. I like being number two. It's my favorite place to be. And in a lot of ways, that's really still true, which is why I do operations consulting, because I like being number two. So even though I own a business, I still serve as COO in several businesses
Nice.
because
Love
it's
it.
my favorite place to live.
Mhm.
But I have a background in education, higher ed, nonprofit, and startup. And what I effectively took from all of those spaces is that, you need a strong system and process to get done, right? And so
Yep.
whether I was a teacher with 45 sixth graders trying to get them to all get, in some semblance of order together at the same
Yeah.
time, or I was creating an onboarding plan for folks in a SaaS startup, it really is the same skill set and it's the
True.
same core beliefs, which is that if you don't create a structure and a system to make something happen, you aren't going to be successful. And that's not because you
Right.
don't hire amazing people or because maybe even, you don't delegate well.
Right.
It is the system that drives the outcome. And so
Mm.
that's what I get to talk about all the time now is the challenge is the system, not the people. And if we solve the system, it'll get solved for 99% of people.
Ah, amen. Yeah. I mean, like, tell me about when you found a COO. Like, how did you find her for your own business to support you as a COO
Yeah.
or CEO, COO, fractional? How
So
did that work?
like many things, sort of by hook or by crook through a network. So I am a member of Fractionals United.
Okay.
Shout out to Fractionals United Slack
Woo-hoo.
community. It's a great professional development community for other fractional COOs, CEOs, CTOs, all of the spaces. And I actually reached out and said, I just had somebody leave and I need somebody who knows the tool ClickUp inside and out,
Okay.
who can do implementations for me. And Steph just happened to be newly on the market. And she was like, look, I'm needing some work. You're paying less than I would typically take an engagement for, but like, you seem nice. Let's have a call. And we got on the call and realized like, oh yeah, no, we are totally in sync in the way we think about operations. And so we said, let's just do this together and then see where it takes us. And after doing a project together, we recognized like we really think about things the same way. And at that point, I said, I really need a second person to help me run things internally because
Yeah.
if I'm going to be the visionary in the business, I need an integrator. I can't do both.
Uh-huh. No.
And she said, okay, that sounds cool. And we went from there. And interestingly, I have still never met her in person. So,
Uh-huh.
support remote businesses, and we are a fully remote business. I get to meet her in person in 2 months. I'm very excited about it.
Ooh.
I'm pretty sure she has a physical, which is
Amazing how many people on my team I haven't met, but, they're the power of what they do for me and my business just comes and radiates off of my computer. You know? Oh my gosh, that's great. Oh, that'll be so much fun for you to meet her IRL.
yes, we're very excited about it. And, it's funny. One of the things that I was thinking about in preparation for this conversation today is like the great skill that she has for gathering context from me and getting
Yeah.
clarity out of that
Mm,
context. And one of
mhm.
the things that we're like consistently seeing with clients is how challenging that can be if that isn't your natural
Right,
role or thought process. And for most people, they start out by hiring a VA, um,
right.
or an executive assistant, and that person is not always able to create the structure and the
Yeah.
context out
They're
of that.
not a golden unicorn. They're good at
Yes,
admin support or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
absolutely. And
Oh,
they can do what they've been told to do
mhm.
and given clarity and direct instructions and documentation on, but they can't always just jump in and say, like, okay, I've got enough context to guess that Lisa would
Yeah,
create this thing in her brain.
yeah.
Um,
And
and
have the cojones to just put it out there knowing they've done the right
yes,
thing and feeling confident enough that they've taken the time to learn who you are, to
100%.
sound in your voice. Yeah. It's a lot of trial and
100%.
error, I imagine.
It is, and I think that's one of the areas where an ops consultant really shines
Okay.
and can set someone up for a great VA or EA hire to be able to
Mhm.
really then transition to say like, "Oh, you're in great shape." Um,
Right.
and that I find that that's a common challenge is people aren't sure, do I hire a COO or do I hire an EA?
Right.
And
Yeah,
they're different skill
they
sets.
are. They
Um,
are.
and doing that in the right order can be kind of a make or break decision.
So can a fractional COO come in and make suggestions to business owners about who they might need to hire at certain points in their
Yeah,
business?
they absolutely should. So if you're working with a fractional COO, ideally that person is owning part of your HR, right?
Yeah.
And so they are part of your hiring strategy and they can say, okay, next thing you need is an EA or is
Mhm.
another member of this team.
Yeah.
Um,
Or a tech ops person that really knows a certain tool, like you said, ClickUp earlier.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. And so coming in and making those recommendations and then also identifying where is that person most likely to fail if you threw them in right this moment. So
Yeah.
how can we mitigate for that ahead of time so that you don't end up with a fail? Because it's
Yeah.
really common that people will say, "Oh, I'll hire an EA and it'll all feel better." And then they say, "Well, I've just got this person walking around asking me questions all the time and I have more work on my plate now. And now I'm just frustrated."
Yeah.
Um, and then the response is like, "Well, I mean, they're just not a good fit."
Right.
And the reality isn't that they're not a good fit, it's that they didn't have the clarity they needed to be able to do the role.
Yeah, clarity is key for sure. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what are some misconceptions that people may have when they're considering bringing on a fractional COO?
Yeah, so there's a lot of confusion about like what is the role, and we have a lot of information flooding in right now because there is a virtual assistant, there is an executive assistant, there is a chief of staff, there is an online
Yes.
business manager, there is a fractional COO.
All the things, yeah.
The heck is the difference? And so, what I tend to talk through is if you need a partner who is going to take things entirely off of your plate
Mm,
and be empowered as part of your team to make the decisions. Of course, they will inform you when it's appropriate to inform you. They will consult you when it's appropriate to consult you.
yeah.
Um, but they will make the decisions. Then you're looking
Mm.
for a fractional COO.
Okay.
If
That's
you
a
are,
very empowered position other than
yes,
somebody that's a task taker or somebody that's strictly administrative and booking meetings and booking your travel and that kind of thing. So it's somebody that's a lot more strategy and almost kind of like a fill-in business partner if you don't really want to have a business partner, right?
absolutely.
You
And
couldn't use a
so
good one of those
100%.
instead of your spouse and throwing up on them every day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
if you need
fantastic.
somebody to create strategy and take that like mental piece off of
Yeah.
your brain so that you can focus entirely on vision and where the
Yeah.
organization is going, and they can focus on how do we make it do that thing.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
when you need a fractional COO.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. So say somebody thinks they need a fractional COO, they want a fractional COO, but they don't have the budget.
Yep.
In what's traditionally offered, which is what hear fractional, you hear like a 6 month term or something like that. Do you offer special things or special one off type work for the people that don't have the full budget for something
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah, so there are a couple of things that we sometimes do. We'll say, okay, it sounds like what you need is an audit of your operations. So
Okay.
we'll look through with you and we'll say, okay, these are where your challenges are. This is where a tool would help you solve a problem. This
Mm,
is where documentation would help you move faster. This is where training is needed, and help you to build a plan for that. And we do sort of done for you and DIY planning. So,
okay.
recognize like when you're starting a business or growing a business, things are tight. So we'll build that for people.
Right.
Um, the other is to say, well, you could probably do pretty well with an executive assistant plus a strategy built for you. So,
Oh,
how can we come
okay.
in and build the strategy and structure, help you onboard that EA, spend some time with them, supporting them so that they have someone else to gather context when they need
Yeah.
it, and then transition off to the EA? And
Yeah.
that is often a very effective strategy.
Is
So,
that pretty common? I feel like I've seen that happen a lot. Like somebody will start with a more operations person to get in behind the scenes, create SOPs, do all the things, and then kind of pass it off to an EA or a VEA.
absolutely, because the reality is a higher level EA can do amazing work.
Sure.
They just need to know what they are supposed to be doing.
The
And
right scope.
yes, and some EAs are amazing at making a process, making,
Sure.
a system or a tool work.
Yeah.
But that is not always a requirement. That's not always an expectation. And so
Right.
working with a strategist at first to say, okay, let's build the structure for your company and then hand off is also
Yeah.
a really great way to go.
That's a really good plan. I have an intern coming on soon for myself, and me with a plan ahead of time. I am trying, but it's one same situation. If I'm completely ready when he comes on, it's going to make his life and my life so much easier. I won't have to spend hours and hours and hours creating these things alongside him, but he'll have all the tools he needs, and he'll know ahead of time what tools I use that he should have a little knowledge of before we kick off.
Yes. And I always tell people like the first couple of months are not going to feel like some magical moment where it's like,
Right.
oh, I just handed off everything and my life is so
I
good
can
now.
go take a vacation and take a nap.
Yeah.
Not
Like
yet.
if you think that's what's going to happen, you probably should
Here's your
change your
sign.
expectations.
Here's your sign. Maybe you
And
shouldn't be a business owner. I don't know.
yeah, like know that it will take 3 months or so
Yeah.
before that person knows everything they need to know to truly take things off of your plate.
I can
So,
confirm that 90 days is kind of the sweet spot of any kind of relationship, whether you know it's going to work or not. It usually happens around the 90-day mark,
yep.
in my
And
experience.
that just makes sense because you have to get into it and feel it out. Even if you have amazing documentation,
Right.
it just takes a little while to know
Yep.
for sure what to do and to learn someone's quirks and the way that they
Yeah.
like to, sign an email and the fact that they never
Yeah.
use the word lovely. We don't
Have you
know.
fed all that into your chat GPT? Like, do not say this word
Yes. Yeah,
ever. Yeah. I
absolutely.
don't say, what's your favorite? Is lovely your like
That
thorn
was
in your
one that
side?
somebody told me recently they never say. They text me and they were like, "Who am I saying the word lovely? I don't use that word." Um,
My pet peeve is starting an email with "Hey," and sorry if you've sent one to me that said that, but "Hey" just does not sound like, "Hey, bud, what's up?" It's
Mhm.
so not professional, and I had
Well,
somebody on my team that always did that, and I don't know if it was a generational thing or what, and I'm just this stodgy older woman, from corporate, and I never started emails with "Hey," unless I was sending it to my business bestie or something like that, but
yeah. Well,
yeah,
you
that's
just
a thorn.
everybody has their preferences,
Yeah,
and we don't realize that it took us decades to build those preferences.
lifetime. Yeah.
Surprised that it takes your EA more than 3 weeks to figure
Yeah.
out what they are.
And it's a good support person will be aware that that's going to happen. And they're going to say, like, I would say, hey, on every email I write, but Bonnie doesn't like the word hey. So I have got to change it up. And then my client, Bob, likes to say, good afternoon or whatever he says. And I'm going to have to just be adjustable, adaptable as I support people, which I'm sure you get into all the time as a COO, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, we have so many tools now that will help us to do a better job of that. So
Yeah.
I am someone who I was a great English student. My mom is an
Mm.
English teacher. I read all
Oh.
the time, etc. I am not a naturally gifted writer in different tones. I'm just not.
Oh,
I don't know why.
right.
But it is difficult for me to pick up on someone else's tone and
Yeah.
adjust.
Ooh.
And so, people would say, "Oh, this document sounds like it was written by three different people," and I would think, "Does it? Okay." ChatGPT,
Yeah.
Claude, other LLMs are great tools for this. So, like, I have a client that they have a very specific sound that they go for, and they're a marketing agency. So, they want
Yeah.
sound like
Right.
an experience, right? It's really important that their brand comes through in every interaction. And so, we built a voice assistant that will
Okay. Nice.
build emails in their tone. And
Oh,
so I say, I need it to, I need to convey this, build an email
yeah.
in this person's tone. What a gift to be able to do that.
Yes.
And it allows us to move in a different way. So even when, maybe that's not your natural skill, there's
Yeah.
so many ways that you can augment that.
That's nice because if you're the support person like you or me, and we're getting feedback from them like, "That doesn't sound like me," at least you can feel a little better if you know the tools to use to get there. And
Absolutely.
then on the flip side, them being knowing, emotionally intelligent enough to say, "This person is not me. I'm gonna give them a dime. I give them a minute to figure this out. I'm not gonna my expectations aren't gonna be up here that you are me, you are not a clone."
Right.
So yeah, it's one of the things that a business owner really needs to be emotionally intelligent about. And
Mhm.
like you, I was an accidental entrepreneur myself. And so that moment of flip from like you education into doing what you're doing now, me in corporate executive assistance into this, what I've been doing for now almost a decade. It's crazy. The
Huh.
imposter syndrome was real, I'll just say. But
Yes.
yes, the mind, excuse my, I'm going to say a really bad word, mind fuck that I
100%.
went through, um, and just getting over that
Yeah.
took me a while. But now that I've been doing it, I don't want to say age because I'm all into the pro age movement. Experience has taught me
Yes.
so many things. And it has taught me to ask all the questions from the get, which is, I'm assuming, when you're qualifying clients with what you do, it's a whole lot of asking questions to see if they're the right fit for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
one of the things that we've recognized a lot in growing the business is we want to ask all of the questions and qualify, like, number one, we work with mission driven organizations. Well, what does
Right.
that mean? Well,
Yeah.
some of them are nonprofit, some of them are for profit. They feel really strongly about what they are bringing into the world. And that is the most important thing of what they're doing. It's not the making of the money, right? The making of the money is a lovely side effect, but it is not even right.
Mission first. Yes.
And then people first is another big focus. So,
Mhm.
we believe in using AI, but we believe that people use AI and that
As a
people
tool.
make up the company. Exactly.
Yes.
And so, if we're not aligned on those two things, like, probably you can find somebody that would
Yeah.
be a better fit.
Right.
Um, and then, the third thing that we often ask is, do you believe that, process or people is the thing that drives the most errors? So somebody's
Ooh.
like, I just can't ever hire anybody. Nobody wants to work anymore. Nobody
Yeah.
gets it. Nobody cares how I do things. That's usually a sign that they attribute failure to people, and
Right.
they're not going to be interested in system and framework solutions.
Ooh, that's important. Let's do that as a mic drop. That's what I call on the show a golden nugget. That is so important and so true. Let me
Yeah.
tell you.
Well, and we find then that, we'll say, okay, why don't we create a system for so and so? And it's like, oh, that'll just slow us down. Well,
Yeah.
creating a system does cause a brief, pause, slow down sometime.
Sure. Yeah.
It's kind of like pulling back a slingshot. You pull it back to propel it forward.
Right.
And if
Another
you
good one.
believe that that can occur,
Yeah.
then you're not going to be successful in growing quickly.
Love the slingshot analogy. That's perfect, and it takes you a while, like, if you're a startup, it will take you a while to be able
Oh
to feel like you can take a few steps back to get
yeah.
a few steps forward, but yeah, do you find that people, when you're qualifying or you're talking to them in your discovery calls or whatever you may call them, what holds them back from, hitting the trigger with you and getting started?
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot of times it's just, oh, we've got to move really fast and we're
Yeah,
nervous about even taking
heard
the right,
that.
right? And sometimes that answer is a red flag and sometimes it's not, depending
Sure.
on the phase of the business.
Yeah.
Um, but most often it's, I'm not really sure what I need. I'm really unclear on what the organization needs. And so when we're able to get in and have a conversation and say, okay, well, if you're not sure what you need, then let's just do an audit and let's
Yeah.
get really clear on what you need first.
Yeah.
And then we can make a plan, because so many leaders have been sold tools as the solution. If
Right.
I just implement Asana or ClickUp, or it doesn't matter what tool here, then it'll be magic and my team will work
Mm,
together magically.
yeah.
Or if I just do EOS, or if I just,
Mhm.
all of those things are great. They're tools, they're frameworks, they're practices. The reality is often that we've chosen so many and they may or may not serve our business the way that we need them to. They might not be
Yep.
aligned with the business, or maybe they don't, match the process that we're using.
Right.
Um, it won't work. And so a lot of times our first step is, let's do an audit, let's see where we are, and then we'll move forward from there.
Nice.
Because that makes everyone feel like, okay, we're on the same page.
Yeah, and be open to taking the feedback that you get from your COO
Yes.
when they're
Well,
doing that audit.
and that's real, right? And that's a good moment for us to look at it and say either, wow, they were so receptive to this.
Yeah.
This is great. Or this person is not yet ready for
No.
somebody to share decision making with. And that's
Right.
okay. There's nothing
Sure.
wrong with that. But a COO can't be effective if the decision making isn't
Let them
truly
in. Yeah. Yeah. And
like,
that's the same thing, like, even an EA or an experienced EA, same thing, and I can only speak from that because that's
yeah,
my life, is letting them in, and it seems quite similar to what you do. Let them in, let them know what you're struggling with, and they can only work better the more they know about you, and I'm not talking just your business, about you and
yeah,
what you have going on in your life too, because a lot of us are so servant natured that we want to, like, it'll be like, "Aw," you got to take 5 kids to school and sports and all that. I'm there for you. I know I'll frame your SOPs and this and that so that they can work while you're doing that.
so
That's the goal, is finding people like you and I. No, shameless plug, who truly have that nature. We want to help, we want to support. And I'm speaking for you here, but I assume, like me, we have a great network. If we aren't the right suited person or support pro for you, we know some people.
absolutely. I always say the value in a consultant is being able to say, I know a guy, or better yet, I know a girl.
Yes,
Um, Not that the women are better. I'm just
I
saying
get you.
we got to share the wealth here.
Yeah.
Um, and so being able to say, I know somebody that could help you with this, and part of my value is the network. So
Yeah.
I come with CMOs, CTOs, with technical
VAs, all the things.
assistants,
Yeah.
data scientists, people who I can put towards a challenge. and get engaged really quickly. And so it doubles the CEO's reach, which is a
Yeah.
really
Ooh,
important piece
super
of
valuable. Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah, you can only know so many people. Yeah,
Absolutely.
2 minds are better than 1, 2 networks are even better, right?
Mm,
Oh my gosh. So, oh my god, this has been great, Lisa. I'm so happy to have you on today because so many golden nuggets, I'll say. But one thing I like to ask all my guests is so think about the time when you left education and you started doing this thing. Became that accidental entrepreneur like I did. What was the first thing you delegated in your business or something you took off your plate and creatively
ooh.
gave to somebody else? And how did that work out for you?
Yeah, very first thing I delegated was working with a client and doing some like fielding of responses. So they were
Mm,
a home services agency and they needed somebody to be able to field like, hey, I need somebody to come out and assess this and give us a quote.
okay.
Um, and my job was to come in and say, okay, here's how we're going to run this, and then I'm going to hand it to this person to do
Nice.
that, right? And then within my own business, it was all of the like email and follow up
Yeah.
and client management pieces. And so two of my oldest employees, shout out to Laura and Jordan, both jumped in and just figured that out and figured out how to do it for me and for clients at the same time.
Love that. Love that. All right. Well, thanks again for being here today. I appreciate you more than you know. And I use the word appreciate with every single episode for some reason. It's like that. Hey, but I really, truly do appreciate you taking the time out of your day. And I'm hoping your people back at the ranch are holding down the fort as they should be.
They are. I can see the
Hopefully.
Slack messages coming in. I'm not looking at
Nice.
them, but I can see the number go up.
One. Oh, great. Wow. Well, hopefully it'll start going down before you get in there. Um, well, anyway, thanks again. And everybody get out there and delegate and elevate and get done. See you next time. Bye. And Bunny, stop. Hi, everybody. It's me, Bonnie. I am so excited to finally share this with you. My next venture, Preferred Service Pros, has officially launched. What started with the incredible guests we've had right here on Delegate to Elevate has grown into a trusted directory where you can find professional service providers, coaches, consultants, and experts who are doing meaningful work. Our season 1 and season 2 guests here on D2E are already featured. So if someone you heard on the show caught your attention, you know where to find them. Visit preferredservicepros.com to explore the directory. And if you're a professional service provider who feels like you belong among the preferred, we invite you to apply. That's it for today's episode of Delegate to Elevate, Get Done. Be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen. And if this episode gave you a golden nugget or two, leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Your review may even be featured in a future D2E listener shout out. Head over to delegate to elevatepodcast.com. That's with the number 2 to grab Bonnie's free Delegate to Elevate growth roadmap. Explore past episodes and join us next time for more real conversations about getting done.